Hey guys, it's Davin here at brewbits.com. Behind the camera as usual we got James. Say hello, James. Today then I thought we would brew up a Mangrove Jack's Australian Pale Ale. Now they say it is dry hopped with Melba and Citra, so it has a beautiful passion fruit and citrus fruit aroma with a fruity flavour. So why not? Let's have a go. You do need some extras to brew this up. They say you either need a kilo of sugar or some beer enhancer. I'm going to use the Muntons light malt extract, 1.5 kilos, a little bit more than we actually need. That's going to give it some extra body, flavour, and should make it turn out to be an extra nice beer. But we're going to need a few other things so that we can get this going. Some cleaner steriliser. I've got a thermometer here, I've got my usual trial jar and hydrometer. I've got a plastic spoon, a siphon, a jug, and then down here, a bucket so we can get brewing. Now the first thing we need to do, because in here we've got a load of gloopy, thick malt extract, is pop some hot water in the sink so that we can pop these into and make this gloop a little bit less viscous. One thing you need to do, just turn that off for a second, is just have a good feel and feel which side the pouch of yeast and stuff like that is. And you can see it's on this side here. So that needs to be facing up so you don't damage the yeast with the hot water. Right, I'm also going to pop the tin of light malt extract in as well. And I know that when we put these in, the labels like to come off and leave a big milky mess, so I'm going to take the label off when doing that as well. So right, let's get these in the hot water. So here's the bag of malt extract, and as you can see I've taken the label off of this one as well already, but I'm going to leave that in there for the Mo to carry on keeping warm. And it's been in there for about 10 minutes. Give it a nice bit of a dry off. And then we're going to snip the top off quite close. If you've not opened one of these before, then in the top there are two pouches. There's one side which has got all the malt extract, and this is the one which has got all the other ingredients. So we've got the instructions, we've got some yeast, and we've got a big bag of Australian Pale Ale hops. So, first thing we're going to do, if you want to, is have a good old read of the instructions. But because we've already got that nice and runny, we can pour that out into our bucket like so. Lovely. So you're not going to get everything out of the malt extracts, but we'll get onto that in a moment. So I'm now going to pop the lid off of this one. Hopefully it's going to go up. No, it didn't. Oh, that's all right. We're just going to quickly grab a knife. Yes, there we go. Scrape that back down in. Put that somewhere safe because that's really gooey. And now I'm going to pour the light malt extract in as well. So now we need 3 litres of boiling water. So I'm going to put the kettle on. So my kettle's boiled. And it's a big kettle in my big jug. So I get about 2 litres. I'll need to put it on again in a moment to get another litre, but for now, we've still got all this lovely malt extract in the can. So, I'm going to pour a little bit there. We've also got a lovely load of malt extract in the pouch. So, down here in the bucket, we've got a load of lovely malt extract, so I'm just going to get it off of my spoon a moment. There we go. And all we're going to do now up here is give this a little stir. Careful because it can get hot. Give it a good stir, make sure all that lovely liquid malt extract is dissolved. And there's loads on the side as well, so grab your spoon, and pick it up. You don't have to get everything out first time. This is where I like to have my tea towels at hand because it's blooming hot. See, it's got most of it out, but there's still a little bit more, so we can go for a second round. Ta-da! And then we're going to do the same with the pouch, but I like to hold on to the pouch because it's not quite as stable as a can. When you're using boiling water in this pouch, I like to be a little bit safer. So exactly the same again. You see, there's still quite a lot down in the bottom. See? So give it a good old stirring till it's all lovely dissolved. And there's loads and loads and loads up the side, so we'll go for a second blast on this one as well. We'll get that one out to start with. See, still loads in there. So we'll work on the sides as well. Get all that out. You see, pretty much everything's out. If you want another go at that, get everything out, go for it. So in the rest of the boiling water goes, and I still need to put the kettle on now because I need another litre of boiling water. There we go, and in goes the last litre. So we've got 3 litres of boiling water in there, so what we now need to do is give it a really good stir. You can see all the liquid malt extract still in the bottom, the water sits on top. So you need to work it nice and gently and make sure all that liquid malt extract and the boiling water come together. So now that's all mixed in, we now need to top this up to 23 litres with cold tap water. So here I'm just going to take my tap and literally just fill it up till we get to the 23 litre mark on my bucket, which is about here. Cool, so I think we're about 23 litres because my bucket's on a slight angle there. Oh, that's so heavy now. Okay, so now we've got all the lovely liquid malt extract at the bottom and we've got lots of cold water at the top. So we need to give it a really thorough, good mix to mix everything together. Cool, so now that's all mixed in, we need to take our thermometer and take a reading. It needs to be ideally around about 20 degrees, between 18 and 22 is going to be about perfect, and it's coming out about 21, so absolutely lovely. I've taken a sample in the trial jar, and with the hydrometer it's showing it's coming out at a SG of 1.054, so we need to note that down and keep that till the end of fermentation. Take our sachet of yeast, which is the US West Coast yeast. And then just sprinkle this on the top, like so. And let that hydrate. I know it's on top of the foam, so I'm going to give it a little stir in to make it drop down so at least it's in the liquid and starts hydrating. And now, my lid goes on. Now, I'm not using an airlock. If you wanted to use a fermenter with an airlock, absolutely fine, but I'm not using an airlock. All I do is just leave one side of the bucket ever so slightly open. This now needs to go into a warm place, about 18 to 22 degrees C, to ideally give you a constant temperature. And it's going to be fermenting away for about 5 to 7 days. So the beer's been sitting in my warm place now for the last 7 days. So I've taken the reading with my hydrometer and it's coming out at about 1.020 as per the instructions. Have a look at this, James, because you'll see it's still foamy and frothy on the top. Right, so I don't want to leave that open too long. So it means that we can now add our sachet of hops. So you can do one of two things. You can cut this open right now and sprinkle them in. But if you do that, what you're going to end up with in the bottom is about that much of hop pellets, and you're going to lose a good 5 to 6 pints of beer. So I'll tell you what I like to do. I like to take some Stericlean, and in a saucepan, I like to put a teaspoon of Stericlean into there, which I've done already, and I've brought the water up to almost boiling point. So I'm going to drop a straining bag in, and I'm going to bring it up to the boil, and I'm going to boil it for a minute, just like your grandmother used to do with your grandfather's socks. Cool, so it's had a minute in the boiling water bubbling away. So I'm just going to take some cold tap water add that to it so I can take it out without burning myself. There we go, a bit of cold tap water. There we go, so it's all lovely and sterilised. So let me find a pair of scissors so I can open these hops. And I always love to get my nose into a set of freshly opened hops. The aromas are absolutely fantastic. So anyway, in there you go. And then, just like we're making a tea bag, we're going to simply tie a knot in the top, like so. And this means that once the beer has fully finished fermenting, we can take these out and we can squeeze these out. Instead of losing 5 pints, we might lose half a pint. And all we're going to do, look at the top, this is so frothy, is just get it down in there and get it down below. Now the beer is still fermenting at this stage, so that yeast is going to help us get all those lovely aromas out of those hops and make it even more aromatic. So this now goes back into my warm place until it's finished fermenting. The Mangrove Jack's Australian Pale Ale has now been sat in my warm place for about 10 days. And come on in, James, have a look at this, because it really frothed up. I showed you on a quick short of how it just literally went absolutely mad. And so it's all settled down nicely now. You can see the bag of hops floating around there. And so I've taken a sample in my trial jar with a hydrometer, and it's coming out at 1.016. Now that's a little bit higher, but that's because we've used the light malt extract and we've used 1.5 kilos of it. And that's just the non-fermentable sugars in there that have pushed it up a little bit. I've tested that hydrometer reading now over the last 3 days, and it's remained constant, so I know we're ready to go. So what is the next thing to do? Well, I said in here I can see this bag of hops. Now I've cleaned and sterilised my hands. That's the only reason why I'm going in there with clean hands. And what I'm going to do, because there's loads and loads and loads of lovely beer in here, is I'm going to squeeze my hops out, and that's going to help get all that extra flavour out of the hops as well and into the beer. Right, so we don't need that anymore, but down here I have got a second bucket and I've got my siphon, because I'm going to literally siphon this off now, off the sediment, so that we can start thinking about bottling. So a good suck and down into my second bucket. I've made sure I've turned the tap off. Now I know there are some of you out there that are going to say, oh, you suck the end of the tube, but you sterilise one up. If you don't want to suck the end of the tube, let's pop that on there for a moment, get that out of the way. Stay. Lovely. You can use one of these. This is an auto siphon. You can basically just drop it into the bucket like that. Couple of pumps and the flow starts. It's up to you. I find the simple siphon personally a little bit easier. Right, this is going to take a few minutes for it to siphon through. So make sure you've got something on hand to keep you happy. So as it starts getting lower, the easiest thing to do now is to tilt your bucket so you get as much beer out and leave all the sediment behind. So anyway, that's all that done in the bucket. And that we don't need anymore. Yeah. I think I'll leave that one to James to clean up. Right, let's get rid of that. Don't need that. And down here, I just put a lid on the top of it to prevent any muck or any dust or anything like that getting in. Right. So, what do I need to do now? I need to go and get my bottles and my bottling wand and everything else and get it all sterile. So, I've got my beer up here now in my bucket ready for bottling. but I want a little bit of fizz in my beer. So over here I have got some priming sugar. I've got about 140 grams-ish of priming sugar. Now that's because I'm using plastic bottles. If I was using glass bottles, like these, I would use a little bit less priming sugar, about 100 to 125 grams. And that's because the plastic bottles, they take a little bit of extra, they expand a little bit, and so you don't kind of get as much pressure from them. Oh, look at that. So we've still got a lot of lovely live yeast in here, and they've just got to that sugar and they've gone yum, 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 yum. Added to that, all the carbon dioxide that was dissolved in the beer from the fermentation process, that's all like little nucleation points, that's just kicked that off like that. So, right, down here then I've got my bottling wand. Turn on my tap, and it's as simple as sitting here and filling up the bottles, and it fills from the bottle, fills the bottle from the bottom, and as soon as it reaches the top, we just drop it down, and then we put the cap on. Easy as that. Ooh, there is bottle number 1, and I have got a few more to go. So it takes a little while to bottle it, and I've finished bottling, and also over here I've put some into a little small pressure barrel so that I can take to a party. And so all I need to do now with these is make a nice little label with the Mangrove Jack's Australian Pale Ale, and then put them somewhere warm for the next 48, 72 hours for the secondary fermentation in the bottle to occur. And that will create the extra carbon dioxide and make this beer nice and fizzy. Then once it's been in my warm place for about 72 hours, I'll take it and put it somewhere nice and cool and leave it there for about 2 weeks, and it will start a little clearing process. Now I don't know how clear this is going to be. Ideally, I'd like it a little bit hazy, but you never know with some of these kits. It's the first time I've made this Australian Pale Ale. So we're gonna find out when we do a little tasting video a little bit later on. So, all we need to do, as I say, label, warm place, 72 hours, then somewhere nice and cool, pop one open and enjoy a nice chilled beer of Australian Mangrove Jack's Pale Ale. As always, if you've got any questions or if you've done it slightly differently, down in the comments below, let me know, and I will try and get back to you as quickly as I can. But for now, yeah, simply happy brewing and enjoy making a Mangrove Jack's Australian Pale Ale. Bye for now.